Hello, and welcome back to the Ember Log. Today, we are going to talk about talking, or, in my case, the lack thereof. Now, it might seem somewhat ironic given this new Ember Log thing that I've started, along with all of my photo edits and everything that I've talked about in there, and for anyone who's been around long enough, the multiple blogs that I have run over the years. But I am actually terrible at talking. I have a whole lot that goes on up in here, and very little of it do I ever say to anyone, anywhere. And I used to think that that was just who I was, and that was okay when I was very young. I was super shy. I basically didn't speak for a number of the early years of my life. My first best friend did all of the talking for both of us. I wouldn't say anything at all. Now, a lot of that was because I was shy. Up until I was a senior in high school, I was one of the shyest people you probably would have ever met. I was immensely quiet and incredibly uncomfortable with anybody that I did not know very well. Like, even if I was surrounded by a group of people I knew super well, if one person even if I only sort of knew them, came into the group and started talking, I would just slowly back out and pull up my phone and just pretend I was doing something on there, or actually do something on there, because no, I just didn't know what to say. My mind would go blank. So many thoughts would be racing, but it would be like there was just a disconnect. And I'm sure you're wondering, but how does that relate to illness? Actually, you're probably not, because, well, it should be fairly straightforward. The biggest problem with... I keep saying the biggest problem. I'm going to do that a lot. I'm going to say the biggest problem, and then just one problem of illness. At different times, they all seem like the biggest problems. There's just so many of them. But a huge problem with illness is that cycle. It's So, for anyone who might not be aware or hasn't gone through it themselves, chronic illness is a cycle. It's like the cycle of grief, but a constant loop. You don't go through the cycle and come out on the other side. It's a constant cycle, because every day is a day of pain and loss and suffering in unpredictable ways, and often in new ways as life goes on. Illness just finds new ways to sort of eat away at you and affect your life. And it can be very hard to talk about. Even if you find the right people who want to listen, who do care, it can be downright almost impossible to talk about for so many reasons. But the biggest one for me is just sounding like a broken record. Because that cycle just repeats year after year after year, every day, in fact. And, people have different ways of coping with things. And the biggest problem for me that I've found over the years is that I really need to be talking. Not even just about my problems, but just talking in general. The way I think and interact with the world. The one thing that it always comes down to, no matter what I'm doing, where I am, if I learn something interesting, if I figure out a puzzle, if I have a new thought, whatever is going on up here, all I want to do at the end of the day is go out and share it with somebody. I don't even really care if they care. I just feel that need to share it with somebody because I think it is so cool or so interesting or challenging or, something along those lines. I just need to share it. And yet counter to that, my innate nature is to sit back and observe the world, because it is easier and more efficient to gain information that way for me. I can very easily get all of the information I need on most things by just sitting back and watching. Asking the questions that I need to ask when I need to ask them, and otherwise figuring it out on my own because it's going to be faster and easier for me. And that's a real issue. My nature is not to speak and just to observe, and yet I need to speak, and the only thing I want to do really is to share. But I don't. Be it about things I'm interested in, or be it about things that are actually quite serious, like illness. I just don't talk. It's a problem. That's why I've started off the blogs. That's why I started making the visual edits. It was a way to get my thoughts out in two ways. Visually, in a way that I had never done before, so it was a challenge, and I'm never going to pass up a challenge, but it allowed me to capture the things I was feeling and thinking and show them to people in a way that they would better be able to grasp and see. And then also I, could talk about it and reference it in a sort of mini blog post in the bottom of each Instagram post. But in the end, it only helped so much because I was doing good for a while, and then I just sort of, life happened. And I got really tired of making photos that just showed off the same things over and over and over and over again. And it really started to eat away at my creativity. It's what destroyed every blog I've ever run. They were great in the beginning, but eventually I'm just repeating myself. Just saying the same things because I'm facing the same struggles in different ways, in unique situations, but it's just the same things over and over. It's always illness coming back, sending me into a flare, messing with my mind, causing anxiety, me freaking out about, whatever, food mainly, but a bunch of stuff. Oh, at some point I'll have a whole episode on my super weird stuff with food. My gosh. That's something to talk about, but yeah, at the end of the day, I just get tired, honestly. If I was the other person listening, honestly, I wouldn't want to listen to a broken record either. I think we've probably all experienced that at some point or another when somebody keeps bringing up the same issue. And generally, it's because that person, no offense to them, but they aren't really trying to overcome that or to change their situation. And so when they keep bringing up the same problem, it's like, I get that that's an issue, and it is an issue, but at the same time, if you're not going to do anything about it, it's just going to keep repeating. That's how it works. So, personally, I start to lose sympathy for those people, because if they're not going to actually do something about it, then, it's on them, really. But I digress. That's not really the point, is it? With illness, you can't do that. I mean, to an extent you can, There are things that you work through with illness that do sort of get better. Well, if they don't get better, you get stronger. That's the saying, and it's true. But there's a whole lot of illness that it doesn't matter how strong you get. It doesn't matter how much time has passed, what you do, how much you grow. It just repeats. And that's my biggest thing, is at the end of the day, every day I am working on personal growth, because if I can't do anything else with my life, if I'm homebound, I can't work, I can't, if most days I struggle to even get through or if often I even struggle to get through the days with even, somewhat decent quality of life, the one thing I can do, even if it hurts me more in the short term, is to try and grow as a person, to be better than I am, to keep moving forward. And on the one hand, that's awesome, I think it genuinely is. Personal growth is very difficult, but it's necessary. Change is good. We should always be searching for ways to grow and be better than we were previously. But the flip side of that is that none of that actually really affects my daily life all that much. I put in all of this work day after day, and I put myself through more pain and suffering in order to, be better, and that's great, but I end up here again, day after day, week after week, month after month, however long it takes. I'm just here in this place. Illness is flared up, the darkness is, setting in, the pain is dragging me down, fatigue, my mental state is growing darker, and I'm just so tired and frustrated with everything. Because I want there to be more than this. You gotta believe that there's more to life than this. But it's very difficult. It's very difficult to hold on to that. And I don't know if I even do at this point. Hope is one of those things that I never really needed. It sounds weird to say, but as much as I hold on to the belief that there is more to this life, I don't hold on to the belief that it is, better, or that's the light at the end of the tunnel, or something like that. Hope isn't the thing that drives me forward. There is something else inside that drives me forward, no matter what I'm going through, no matter how dark things get. It never lets me stop, even when I really wish it would. There have been some times where I really wanted it to just let me stop, but it wouldn't. And so, it's a weird situation. I say a lot. Like, yes, obviously, people watching this, they know me so well, when I don't know what to say, I just start filling in with And that's the biggest, that's the biggest problem. I really have to work on not repeating myself on these outlandish statements, but that's one of those core issues. When I stop sharing, when I stop actively talking, something inside just sort of shuts down, and then I just keep talking, because I can keep spitting words out as much as I want. I can use, however many words to say whatever I want to say, and I could probably be fairly eloquent at it. But it would be a lot of words that says very little, and it's just constantly reiterating the point. And I don't really know what to do about that at all. I'm working on it. It's part of the reason that I'm streaming on Twitch, trying to figure out different avenues for learning to just be okay with sharing and talking, because I'm not really sure what stops me. Still trying to figure that one out. It's why a big reason why I've started this, because Twitch wasn't really working out in the way that I wanted it to. It's going to be its own thing, but, it wasn't the platform for what I needed it to be at the time. Which is why I'm here and there and still making art and still posting on Instagram and started a Twitter as just another way to try and get myself to actually speak my thoughts and share them. And I have not been very successful at it at all. In fact, I'm really trying, but something is just holding me back. But hopefully that's what this will be. Hopefully these videos of just talking about the real stuff, when there's not, like on Twitch I'm streaming games or art, or mainly games, but sometimes art or game development, and there's always that something else to sort of hide behind, because I love multitasking. I just work better when I'm multitasking, but I also use it as just a shield to hide behind. so that I do not have to, I guess, talk about the real stuff. Yeah, and then, yeah, in every situation except these videos now, I can come up with an excuse, something else to talk about. And in the Ember Log, I cannot. It's me forcing myself to actually vocalize all this stuff. So, long-winded, 15 minutes, will be longer by the end of this, and very rambly. But, yeah, that's the Ember Log. The Ember Log about talking, or the lack thereof in my case. Full circle. Boom. Yeah. Hopefully in the future, Ember Logs will get less rambly as I figure this out and start being able to share my thoughts without that sort of inner door closing and getting into those habits of repeating myself and repeating the same things over and over. But I don't know. So, thank you very much for checking this out. If you got to the end, if you skipped through, whatever. I very much appreciate it. And if you know anyone else who is struggling in a similar situation, or with illness, or a tough time in their life, really any of those things, turns out suffering is sort of universal at the end of the day. If you think they would get something out of this, or if, you have thoughts or opinions, feel free to share them. I would love to hear them. Till next time, I've been the Chronic Phoenix.